Currently, I work for Stony Ridge Foods here in Benson, Minnesota. We're a dry edible bean processing plant. I'm a staff agronomist. I've been on board here for about 10 years. I've been active in Swift County almost all my career, coming from Jamestown, North Dakota originally. So although I grew up in Jack Pine Savage country there at Staples, Minnesota, north of Staples.
Bob, tell us, as an agronomist with Stony Ridge Foods, tell us about your current work as an agronomist. What's your day like during the growing season?
Well, during the growing season, I'm very active out in the country looking at our fields. So we have approximately 50 growers that I work with, a contract with us at Stony Ridge Foods to deliver their crop to us to process. And we have a vested interest in what's going on out there in their fields, so I'm very active out growing season, scouting their fields. If I'm asked to give advice or make recommendations regarding white mold applications, weed herbicide programs, whatever, that's what I do. I go out there and I work with them on that. Off season, I work with a seed, getting the seed orders together. Of course, it's a chance for me to update my education and my skills. I'm very active during harvest. We have a remote facility out here in Danvers that I'm in charge of running during harvest, doing all the grading and all of those coming in. So I have busier times of the year than others, and my most busy time will be out in the field during the growing season.
Bob, were you an active 4-H member in your youth?
I was very active in my youth, up in Cass County, Minnesota. Very active in our Poplar 4-H club. I served as a county 4-H federation president before my years with 4-H were done. We showed at the county fairs, earned trips to the state fair, etc. So yeah, very active in 4-H.
What kind of an impact do you think 4-H left on you, not only as an agronomist, but as an adult in society today?
A youth organization such as 4-H and I know our emphasis on 4-H, but I'm going to mention VOAG and FFA as well. They were both very important to me. They helped develop me as an individual, gave me skills to work with others, to assume leadership roles in the organizations, leading the clubs, and also skills in as we did the records for our 4-H projects and whatnot, skills that we learned that helped me later on in life. And my involvement in 4-H, I guess, formed the foundation, the basis of my direction I took in my career too. Regarding this crop scouting, when I first saw the, Crappie News publication a couple years ago, I guess bells went off, if you will. I said, hey, that's something I can do. This idea of being involved as a mentor, coach, organizer, whatever capacity for the crop scouting program appealed to me because that's my background.
Bob, let's talk about some of the work you do with 4-H as an adult volunteer with crop scouting. Tell us how these teams work and how you are involved. What is your role?
I look at my role more as a mentor. I've worked professionally as a crop consultant and did crop scouting. And it's an opportunity for me to share how I go about doing things with others. When I started 2019 with our 4-H youth, in fact, at our state competition that year, I was asked by Bruce Potter, do you guys have a manual or a program guide that you go by that you teach from? I says, no. I've since kind of put one together, and I'm working on revising that today. But when I started out, I worked with the basic foundation, some class time with the youth to educate them or orientate them to what to expect to see for growing, how a corn or how a soybean grows, germination, the different crop stages. And then when you get an opportunity to get out in the field, I walk with them and I point out things. And what was really interesting to see is that in a few short weeks after going out in the field with the youth, that how quick some of them were to pick up some of those skills themselves and start seeing things themselves, and how excited they got when they saw thistle caterpillar or a green clover worm, etc. It was just fun working with them on that and showing them by walking through what I do.
To follow up on that, Bob, it has to be rewarding for you, is it not, to see kids kind of grow and learn as far as crop scouting and other agronomic issues? It's got to be rewarding for you as an adult volunteer.
Yes, it is. I've already alluded to that. That 2019. After a few visits out there in the field with them, and as we went, walking through and casually pointing out what I'm seeing and what they're missing in the first few visits, and then as they got more tuned in to what to look for, how sharp they became and seeing some of those things. I think back to our regional competition that year down in Iowa, at Ames, Iowa, when one of the youth was asked by the judge a question that the team struggled a little bit. All of a sudden, I saw the eyes lit up in one of our youth that, I know what he wants. I know the answer. And he looked at me and I could just tell it. And he said it. And of course, that's what the judge wanted to hear. So it's very rewarding. Very rewarding.
What advice would you have to other adult volunteers, Bob, who may be interested in working with an agronomic team like this, a scouting team? What words of advice or encouragement would you have for them? Why should they do it?
Well, whether it's a crop scouting program or other economics or anything else, I would say don't hesitate. Don't let your concern that you may not be, well enough equipped for what you know to lead, because that information is out there. The internet is a wonderful thing for finding a lot of data and information, and I think everybody would be amazed how much resource stuff I have pulled on that to help put my scouting program together for the kids. So yeah, just don't hesitate and don't feel that your lack of knowledge is going to be a liability, because just having adult presence out there and doing it, we can find that information for you. That's out there.
So the 4-H members can learn, but so can the adult volunteers.
Definitely. I know I have. I've become a better scout, better crop consultant, and my field skills by what I've done so far. If as an adult, whether it's an agronomist, somebody active in the retail or whatever the ag sector, has an opportunity or an inclination to become involved, or is given it thoughts, do it. I think you'll see it worth your while. Brian, and your efforts are more than just crop scouting. You're trying to create a general overall awareness in the ag with some of the 4-H youth groups, and we need more of that. We need an awareness of what's actually going on, because if you look at the Minnesota State Fair over the last whatever many years since I've been involved, and one of my must-go-to buildings is a 4-H building. And I know when I go there now, compared to what it was when I was active, it's a whole different exhibits there. There's a whole different range of exhibits and topics and categories, and it's I would have never imagined that today. So the opportunity is out there for not only the youth to get involved, and we need to do a better job of doing that, promoting that, but programs such as this, crop scouting, along with the other efforts that Brian and Extension Team are doing, are very important, and we need to support them when we can.
Bob, let me ask you one other question. You touched on this a bit earlier, but it's about the commitment of the 4-H members. If someone asked you, if I was a 4-H member and I said, Bob, what do I need to do? Is this a lot of field time? What kind of a commitment is it? What would you tell them? What do they need to do as 4-H members?
It can be as much as what they're able to do. I look back at our 2019 experience with our youth. I'm lucky to have had my whole team together 5 times throughout the summer as we scouted fields and went out and practices. Realize there's a lot of other activities taking their attention away. Summer rec programs, trips, vacations, other school activities. And so you got to work with time frame that you can, and try to involve as many as you can. And I wouldn't let the fact that you can't be there every day or every practice slow a person from participating. there's opportunities to participate and still benefit from it even on a limited basis.
Do you think these 4-H youth are on these crop scouting teams? Do they have to be farm kids? Do they have to, do they have to come from a farm in order to be a good crop scout?
No, they don't. I look at my background back up north in Cass County. I was more livestock than crops. Very sandy, low pH soils. We grew enough to get by for our feed, but we never got into actual crop production so much, and that's where I primarily am now. I think. Well, I guess I bragged that I could take my next door neighbor in town, and if his youth wants to be involved, I could make him a good scout. And I got one I'm going to try to work with next year. So
that's good. That's good. Because I think, what made me think of it is when you said we need to get more people into this. And as we all know, farm kid population has been going down. We need to get other rural kids, suburban kids, town kids, anybody. We need to get them involved in agriculture and to understand agriculture and how crops are raised and all that. So that's why I thought it was important to ask that.
The opportunity that the 3 youth that went on to the regional competition in Iowa, Ames, Iowa 2019, I had basically a youth that just finished 7th grade. I think one finished 8th grade and one finished 9th grade. And we were going up against first-year college students down there in Iowa. And
wow.
We didn't place the top 3, but I was very proud of how they interacted. They were very professional, very courteous, very respectful, and I got that kind of comments from the judges both at our state competition here south of Benson and down in Ames, and it was really rewarding working with them and seeing how much they grew and matured over the course of the year. And even though we didn't have a team entry this year, one of those youth that was on the contest in 2019 was a high overall individual in the crop scouting program for this year, so we still had a career presence.
Excellent. Well, that's a great story. What do you hope, Bob, for the future of these young people that you're helping to mentor in this agronomic world? Do you hope they become agronomists or crop consultants, or do you have other hopes for them, or additional hopes?
Well, I think if the youth become involved in a crop scouting program, maybe even not necessarily with the intent of being an agronomist, whether it be in seed sales or a retail agronomist side or company rep or whatever it may be, that they have an idea of what is involved, and maybe stimulate their desire to pursue that. Working with the youth programs such as 4-H certainly led me in the direction that I wanted to go. I maybe not working with seeds quite as much as I thought I would, when I was back at that time, but it's set my career path, and I pretty much continue to follow it all throughout.